Well, hello and welcome to From Domain to Profit. I am Drew Wash, and I'll tell you what, there is a high likelihood that we're going to have technical issues today because it's been chaos to get to this point, but it's going to be a good show. And I know this because I got some good stuff for you today. I got the next step. What's the next step? We've talked about up to this point, finding the right domain name, and I shared with you that a couple weeks ago, I bought trackingprograms.com for $255. And now we're going to dust that off. I'm going to show you what I want to do next with that domain name. So take the domain name out of your portfolio, the one that you're holding back on, whatever one you see as possibly the best one for development. We're going to talk about why development's the best thing you could possibly do with it. And we're also going to take the practical next steps. I'm going to actually show you lots of screens, and we're going to set up tracking programs today, and possibly you can set up your domains. So today will be a next step day. So hands-on, very practical, bringing lots of value and even some why. So say hi to everybody in the chat, and let's get going.
Domain to profit from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Wash and get started right now.
Okay, well, this is going to be a fun day because I have lots of content. So that means I have lots of notes and things I want to get through as well. So I'm going to hopefully be able to take my time and get you this information that I've pulled together for you, because it can be business changing, life changing, and certainly worth sticking around through this through today's show. So, okay, well, we have first let me say this. So, hey, Michael's here. Thanks for joining me, Michael. Matt, thanks for joining me, helping me out on the show all the time. See plenty of other people out there. So feel free to chat, keep in touch with me throughout the show. So today I also just want to take a moment to say, thank you. Thank you for making this show happen. If it wasn't for you showing up and, giving me some of your time to talk about hopefully what we share as a passion, domain development in business, I wouldn't be messing with this. And I have some big plans for this show and what's to come of it. And, hopefully I've shared quite a bit of why I do this, and my heart for helping you develop domains, getting more domains developed in general, but hopefully changing your life for the better, as well as, some of the things. I do this so I can gather all the information, force myself to put thought in, so I can, hopefully put together a book and some training programs and some different things to help more and more domains go from landing parked pages to being developed, bringing value to the world, and of course, making their owners more money than ever. So thank you. It is Thanksgiving weekend, or Thanksgiving week. And Thanksgiving is actually probably I think it's my favorite holiday, just because what better holiday than a holiday that is all about, being thankful and being grateful for what we have. So, okay. So, thank you all for being here. And as always, I want to start with the 3-minute business plan. Let me set this up for a second and let you know we're only going to be doing a few 3-minute business plans, but I have over 20 domain names that I've pulled out of the lists of domains that are available this week. I'm going to share with you over 20 domain names. We're only going to do a few 3-minute business plans, though. So you're going to hear lots of potential development domain names on this show. We're going to talk about business plans on a few of them. So what the heck is the 3-minute business plan? Well, the 3-minute business plan is this form over here, which takes us from domain name all the way down to what problem we're going to solve, and then, of course, how we can hopefully market it or make some money from it. Make sense? We're going to try to do all that in 3 minutes. And the first domain name up is going to be this one right over here, which is gymfinder.com, and I am going to start a timer. We're going to dive right into this one. So gymfinder.com, I think it says exactly what it does, what we expect from this domain name, which is exactly what we want. We want a domain name that will explain that when users hear it, they're going to know what they're looking for. And gymfinder.com, what do you think we're going to put on that? What do you think the purpose of that domain is going to be? Well, it seems to me that it should be a way to find a gym. I mean, it makes sense. Domains give clues, right? Domains give clues. So gymfinder.com is available over on GoDaddy, currently over $600. And the way I would see it being developed out is you have different options. You can go the affiliate link option, which will create like a referral-based, commission-based type system. But I always say it along with me, that kind of that directory model. So have the gym sign up to be part of gymfinder.com. They get unique profiles, and then the visitors come into gymfinder.com looking for gyms in their area and find the gyms that are the members of gymfinder.com. That's kind of my go-to business model, because it allows us to take a domain name, put some basic features on that domain name, and just tap that domain name and pull some of that revenue out, which is kind of what we're out to do, right? I don't run companies to work hard. I run companies to bring value to the world and to create and to, earn freedom and flexibility and money in my life. You don't have to work hard to have those things accomplished. So, just because you can get super creative and do something fancy with the site doesn't mean you have to. So gymfinder.com, the problem we're solving is we're helping people find gyms in their area. Because, here's the thing with a lot of things like gyms. You can go to each of their individual sites. You can even Google gyms near you. But ultimately, all that information is being pumped to you from the individual gyms. So, how do you have that third-party perspective on what gyms to maybe choose or whatnot? Well, a site like gymfinder.com, you can bring that information together easily, allowing the gyms to, sell themselves, but also your visitors can see multiple gyms regardless of brand. It's not just going to be LA Fitness or Planet Fitness. Instead, it could be all of them in one place, making your site the go-to site for finding a gym. And let me just add this little thing. I'm going to stop the timer for this little rant. I saw a tweet that was somebody that was, they had to cancel their gym membership, and they had to do it. If you've ever canceled a gym membership, I have with LA Fitness. They made me print off, sign, and mail in a cancellation form. Have you ever canceled a gym membership and have to do that? Well, I have to say, I can't help but mention that on gymfinder.com, I think that should be a service on gymfinder.com. We help you find a gym, but then if the gym, you're done with it, we help canceling that gym as well. And maybe it's a print-on-demand service to cancel that gym, because, okay, LA Fitness and other gyms that make you fill out a form and print and mail something in, freaking come on, stop trapping your customers, and let's make it easy to get out of the gym. Maybe they'll actually want to come back to you for a change. Okay, a little bit of ranting there, but I still rant. It drives me nuts. Printing something off? Okay, well, gymfinder.com help people find gyms that don't make you print off cancellation forms. Seems like a legit business to me. So, in your domains, whether you're a domain investor, somebody that owns a lot of domains and you look to sell them, or possibly you just have one domain that you've always wanted to develop, depending on what side of the spectrum that brings you here from domain to profit, you might be trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. I know a lot of domains. I own both domains that I look to sell, but I also own nearly all my domains for the purpose of development. And which is better? Which is better, domain development or buying and selling? And I'm just going to say I've avoided this kind of conversation for quite some time, because I got a lot of friends. I got a lot of you guys out there that are like me. They buy domains, but for the most part, maybe you use those domains and you make money off of them specifically by selling them, and development isn't something that you're interested in. Well, let me say that first, before I dive into the next steps, I want to show you domain development is a better path to wealth than buying and selling domains. I'm just kind of curious if you already know that or not, or if you kind of argue against that. Domains, they are better. And let me just kind of show you a little bit about why. So you may be familiar with the idea of leverage in business. So leverage breaks down into kind of one of three different things. And there's nothing new with this. This is very much a common thing as far as business goes. You know, you ever heard the phrase, for example, it takes money to make money? That's one. Or that's one of the types of leverages. That's the finance leverage. If you're going to buy and sell domains, you got to have money to buy the domain, to sell the domain. That's one path of leverage, right? You're using your money to make more money. That's finance. The other one is people. You can hire people. You could pay them a wage and have them create or work for you. That's people leverage. That's one of the three types of leverage. And the third one is intellectual property. So this would be things like programming, filming videos, maybe training programs, writing a book, anything that's like intellectual property or digital stuff or code, developing something, building that website out. So those are the three different types of leverage that are out there. And a lot of people that are looking to use domain names for the sake of buying and selling, what they're actually doing is trying to use finance for leverage. So they're trying to, take $100 and buy $100 domain name and sell it for $1,000, right? They just 10 times their money through finance. Well, with code, and that's what we talk about a lot on here, is let's build out a business. Let's build out a business to where we work hard once, we build something that can generate revenue ongoing while we sleep. Not so many people sell domains while they sleep. Actually, that's not true. I know a few guys that sell domain names while they sleep, but I tell you right now, those who run businesses where they can take signups or get customers while they sleep, with one, every time they sell a domain name, that's one less domain they have. There's a finite number of domains in their portfolio. If they sell them all, they're all gone. But if you build a product, if you build something, then especially if it's digital product, a ebook, it never runs out. Selling one doesn't take away from your inventory, so all you have to do is sell more to make more, and you can do that in your sleep. So that's a little bit about leverage and why we develop. So this idea that if we spend time developing a site, we can work hard once to put together the features that allow us to make more money. Hopefully that comes out pretty clear enough. Maybe you're familiar with the idea of leverage. So here's the thing. I have close to 1,000 domain names. I know many people with thousands of domain names. And, where do you start? Which domain name do you pull out to start with? How do you move forward with a development project and not give up on the idea of possibly selling the domain name as well? Well, I have a next step for you. Today, the next thing of what I want to do, I'm going to do a 3-minute business plan. On the other side of that 3-minute business plan, I'm going to show you the next step that I'm going to take with trackingprograms.com that you can take with whatever domain you're considering to develop, and it will allow you to move forward with the development, and you can apply it to numerous domain names. In fact, it will let you see which site you should move forward with development on, and it will also leave open the idea of possibly still selling that site. And it's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's nice and simple, though, and there's nice, easy tools that will help you do it. So, but first, let's do another 3-minute business plan. And for our next business plan, we are going to go with, let me tell you some of the domain names that we're not going to be talking about today that are available. I'm going to pull these up. I'll share my screen out here real quick. Okay. before I get to that 3-minute business plan. Here's the list of them. I'll just read about half of them off here. There's careerbot.com, convertprospects.com, some good, good sales one there. Movingcopy.com, which maybe I'm going to do a 3-minute business plan on movingcopy.com. Phoneadapters.com. I believe I have a 3-minute business plan lined up for that one as well. But that's phoneadapters.com. These are all, I believe, over on GoDaddy. Then we have distancedata.com for you data geeks who want to, get into selling some data. Carvaletservices.com, increasing revenue, validate email.com, detailinggarage.com, vipworkers.com. All of these you can kind of see have, in many cases, a nice, easy directory type idea. In some cases, like with distance data, you probably get a little more SaaS, creating a product that sells software. So those are some of the sites. We'll pick it back up, and I'll share the bottom half of that list. After our next 3-minute business plan, we're going to go over to movingcopy.com. When this pulls up here. So there we go, movingcopy.com. And I wanted to share this one. It's, in many ways, this is, I wanted to do this because it's not a directory. I feel like all too often, I don't want to fall into this idea of, directories being the only way to make money, because that's certainly not the case. Let me see my hand falling out of the window here. Okay. So movingcopy.com, what do we want to do with movingcopy.com? Well, let's start the timer and we'll talk about it. So when it comes down to ads, to heck, even tweets anymore, any number of different things, it's a matter of copy being the copywriting, the language that sells, direct marketing copy. Anyhow, you're selling stuff. So Moving Copy could be a place that copywriters go to share and sell some of their best work. Copy that moves people to action, moves them to purchase, creates an emotional response. This would be a pretty unique build out because it's going to require a lot of unique weight characteristics and classifications of the copy. So for example, you might categorize the copy. When I say copy, I'm talking about, paragraphs or long form emails, any number of different writing things, stories, for example. That copy can be organized by like the emotion it creates. So if you need emotion that creates a feeling of triumph or victory, it might be a story that somebody shares of a kid that lives in their neighborhood who has overcome some kind of obstacle. And you could share that in your copy or in your sales material, tell that story knowing that the outcome is going to create a specific emotion. So copywriters, storytellers can go there, share their stories, categorize those stories, you search them out, and then you pay them a small fee to use their copy in your videos or email, whatever it is. So I like the nice thing about that is I love helping the small guys. I'm very much a David versus Goliath type of guy. And, copywriters, a lot of these people that are just super creative in their language, they can go and post, who knows, maybe it's viral tweets or tweets that are really interesting, but they don't post them themselves. Instead, they let you be the person that posts them to get the, what would that be called? To get the accolades or something like that. So there's people called ghostwriters, and these are the ones that like write a book and then somebody else gets to put their name on it. So this would be Moving Copy, could be like ghost copy, basically, where you go to find copy that's written to get a emotional response. I don't know. How would you build it? That's one of the questions that we ask often. I would see this being a kind of a commission, could be a membership type site, but who knows? Like one person might want to buy multiple things, blocks, $4 or $5 or something at a time. And I think when I get to sites like this, I think of my nephew who wants to go into writing and stuff. Like there's all these people writing these amazing short stories and stuff. How do they monetize that? How do they use that skill? Well, if you can intersect writing with business, then, if they can make money off it, you'd have a lot more people out there creating amazing things, which I don't know. I like that idea. So what do you think? How would you build out movingcopy.com, one of the domain names that is available this week over on GoDaddy Auctions? And I believe that one's a cheap one, which is why I wanted to include it. I think it was currently at $12. And I imagine that one will stay on the lower side of price. I try to include, domains from both expensive side as well as, middle of the road or lower price. And I know some of the domains I want to mention later for 3-minute business plans will be a little more money. So there you go. Maybe movingcopy.com is a domain name you're going to move forward with. So we talked a little bit about leverage and the idea that, yes, you can buy movingcopy.com. Maybe you can find some guy to buy it for $2,000. What's going to take to do that? It's going to take your time. It's going to take you owning the domain name to make that money. You're giving up your time. You're giving up your inventory in hopes of using some money to make some more money. There's a better way to do it, and that's development. So if you were to buy movingcopy.com, which, as far as this business going forward, I don't score that one very high as far as development. You can build something on it. You can do copy on it. But development-wise, I'd probably put that down about a 2 overall. So movingcopy.com, you might not go with this next step, but you could. So let's go. Pull out maybe a site a domain that you think is perfect. Ideally, it's exact match. Last week we looked at trying to figure out the entry point to an industry, and I used trackingprograms.com as the example for that. And trackingprograms.com, the exact match search that we looked up on SEMrush was not all that amazing. But what we were able to find was that there's keywords that are close to it that actually have a lot of good keyword volume, and we would be able to take that domain name and do some stuff to turn it into a business, right? But so far we've talked theory. This is all theory. Where does the rubber meet the road? That's probably what this week should have been called, Where the Rubber Meets the Road. So here's where the rubber meets the road. How much interest is there in what you're doing? And how do we test that? And maybe you have 100 domain names. You want to develop them all. Sounds like me. I have all kinds of domain names I want to build, but how do I know which one should get my attention first? I'm often asked, how do you do multiple projects at once? Or, how do you do one project? That's moral of the story. Do one project at a time. We can only concentrate on one thing. The only reason why we do multiple projects here is because we have multiple people that can give different projects attention. But our focus is typically on one project at a time. So how do you know which one project to give your time to? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the solution for that, what you can put on that domain name. So many people put on, and actually let me share out my screens. I'll show you exactly what. So if I go out to trackingprograms.com, so if I go there now, because this was a brand new domain name, you're going to see it's just a GoDaddy lander. That's what's currently showing on trackingprograms.com. And you probably have a bunch of domain names like this. You maybe have them possibly parked. You may have your domains, maybe you have them parked, maybe you have them on a for sale landing page, any number of different things. But realistically, in most cases, if they're parked, you might have some ad revenue, which is great if you do. If it's on a for sale landing page, the only real outcome from that is to sell that domain name. But what about if you're going to develop it? What's your options there? Well, when we go to develop, what we want to do is give ourselves an opportunity to start capturing customers or those who are interested in what we're building. So, for example, on tourguides.com or bartenders.com, a couple of domain names that I have. How do I know whether there's interest from tour guides or bartenders, or how many people are typing in that domain name and interested enough to actually give some information? So let me share out my screen again. So if we go over to bartenders.com, this is what you'll see over on the site. And this is I made this logo in about 30 seconds once I realized that I was going to buy bartenders.com. Didn't spend any time on it. Doesn't even need to have a logo. A lot of times people think that the logo is some magic piece. It's not. Then I wrote some quick little copy of what I thought the domain we might use it for. And then I just added this little be alerted of updates, which when you click on it, it says join our mailing list. And you fill out this form here and you basically go on our mailing list. And you'll see over on tour guides, it's the same type of thing. So, and these are, as you can see, these are really, really basic things. They're not, I'm not trying to tell people what the heck the site's going to be about. I'm not really giving any kind of value to them. For the most part, all I'm doing is I bought a domain name and I put up a page like this that says essentially, hey, we're building a community where you can find tour guides from around the world. Doesn't say anything about what's going to actually be on that domain name. So, register to be kept in the loop. Join the waiting list. Boom. Now this one, they can fill out the information and it goes in the list. So what do we do this with? And why do we do it? So we do this with domains that we purchase that have, typically if they're a pretty expensive domain name, we will put this kind of page up on it pretty quickly. And let me show you one more site that we've done this on, because this will come up a little later. The other one was weddingphotos.com. And this one, you come into it and just subscribe for email updates. That's it. There's nothing on this site other than that. Photo coming soon, a little logo we had created, and that's pretty much it. Just a landing page with that. If you wanted to, you can. If you're not sure, like, hey, I might develop it, I might not, who knows? You might want to, in that case, add a line on here that says, this domain may be for purchase or something like that. Reach out to us. I don't know, something like, if you want to go, one toe in at a time. And this is I think so. So Michael mentions that this is what he's struggling with, and Vito comes to mind as well. He has the streamingconcerts.com. A lot of us, we all have these domains that are sitting around that we're like, hey, how do we? What's this first step? And that's exactly what this is. This is the first step, and it's so simple, but it tells us so much. Because here's what's going to happen: we take these domains and we put them onto a page. We put up a form, and people will have the opportunity to fill out the email, and then we collect that. We collect their information. That's all we do. Like, super simple. But here's what this shows us. So right now I have those forms. They go into this here. This is my active campaign. This is a like a CRM program that we pay for. I'm going to show you I'm going to mention some ways that you can do this for free or for really cheap. You don't have to pay for this, but this is one of the tools that I do mention on Domain to Profit under Tools. Let me just show you this. So up under here under Tools, everything that I talk about today, you'll find on here. So let me see, lead pages. I'm going to talk about that, as well as Active Campaign, which I'm now seeing Active Campaign is not listed here. I'll add it. I'll add it right after the show. So when people fill out the form, what it does is it adds them to Active Campaign for us. And if you can see here, it's probably a little bit on the small side. Let me zoom into it here. So what you'll see is we have a bunch of different lists. These are mailing lists that go along with different sites. And you'll see bartenders.com, which we have that one up here, has 19 people on the waiting list. Some of these have been developed a little bit more, so the waiting list doesn't grow. But bartenders.com, down here we have wedding photos. As you can see, weddingphotos.com, 139 people have filled out that form on weddingphotos.com. And then we'll talk more about that. Tourguides.com, that's the other one that I showed you. We have that form up on there. So what we do is we pull out these, we pull out we put up these forms, and then people, they either submit the form or they don't, right? Nothing, I didn't force them. They're not trapped on the site. They can just walk away or not. But enough people, in this case, 139 people on weddingphotos.com, 19 on bartenders, and on tour guides, 16 people filled out that form. And what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that of those sites, weddingphotos.com is probably the domain that I should look at, right? There's more interest in that domain name with little or no effort. So that could be one of the things. So if you're tiptoeing your way into a development project, how do you know which one to go? If you have, 100 domain names, 100 different sites with forms up on them, which one do you go with? Go with the hot hand. Go with the domain name that has the most potential, not even the most potential, the most momentum. Momentum's a big deal. We got to make sure that, we spend our time where something's going to happen. And for us, that's why we spend a lot of time on towing.com. It's by far our hottest project. You go deep on your hottest project, but when we go for that next project, weddingphotos.com looks good. But bartenders.com, it has 19 over the course of, I think we got that back in July. So that's just over a couple months. So that's actually growing pretty good too. So how do we set up these forms? How can we do it for cheap or free? And how can we capture those leads so we can start to get an idea of what we can put on our site? So I mentioned Vito, for example. I have not seen him comment yet, but hopefully watch this later. So he's asked me what he should do next on like streamingconcerts.com. And this is what I would do. I would get a site, a basic lead form up there using any one of the different tools. I'm going to show leadpages.com now. You can use Doric, which is another tool that I mentioned as well. That's super cheap. I also Card, CARRD.co, card.co. $20 a year gets you, I think, 10 different sites that you can do this with. And so it's not expensive to do this unless you want to do it in like large quantities. The tools that we have, Active Campaign, we pay several $100s a month for. There's smaller accounts. We have a larger account. But then landingpages.com, this is another tool that will cost several $100s a month at the level we're at. They have smaller accounts that you can do things for up to, I think, 3 sites is like $50. We have an account that does up to 50 or something. So what I want to do is I want to set up live right here with you, landingpages.com, show you kind of how easy it is and show you some of the steps that you can do to make sure that you're spending your time wisely with this. So in my case, I'm going to take landingpages.com. I want to start with a domain name. So over here, you get custom domain names with your paid accounts on here. And you can, I have affiliate links here. So if you go to domain-to-profit.com and use this, you get the 14-day free trial. And it's also a way of supporting the show if you end up signing up. So what we want to do is we want to connect a domain name. I'm going to type in tracking programs. And you're probably used to this kind of thing. So it sets up the HTTPS, the secure certificate for you. It's included in it. In here, it's just asking me if I have any existing content. The answer is no. And then it's going to take us over to a next page, which yesterday it hung on this page, so I had to refresh it. Yeah, it's doing it again. Lead Pages has an error. Bad timing for them, or bad timing for me, one way or the other. So I just refreshed it, and now I'm going down to trackingprograms.com to get the instructions. And what they're going to tell me is, okay, they have some kind of integration with GoDaddy. I'm going to not share my screen for 1 second here, just in case they show something I don't want to show. So I clicked on it. It's saying that, okay, I'll share this. So it's basically saying, hey, do you want to track tracking programs with your GoDaddy account? I'm going ahead and hit yes. And boom, that appears to be it. So let's check it out. So trackingprograms.com is now in the process of being set up as a domain name connected to my leadpages.com account. So that's basically what that did. And now we get to go over, and all I'm going to do is create a landing page. So maybe you're familiar with what a landing page is. It's like a card.co page or a Doric page. It's just one page that you can have a pop up and grab some data. So I'm going to go in here. And I welcome questions or anything. If you're watching this live, you can do it in the chat. If you're watching it in a restream, you can type it into the chat, or you can tweet at me. I know I'm kind of running through this pretty quick. I want to make sure that I get it out there so you can see it. But really, as long as you have the right tools, it's pretty quick, pretty easy. So you can actually see I pretty much use the exact templates that they give me here. Why spend a bunch of time on something if they already have it set up for you? So I'm just I'm setting up tracking pages. I'm looking to see if there's a template that looks good for tracking. I'll just go with this one. This one looks pretty good. So this is what this is. It's a WhatSeWig type editor, meaning what you see is what you get. You can drag and drop and add things. Remember, as of this point, we don't know if we want to develop this site. We have it. We want to do something with it, but we don't want to, don't take a bunch of time overthinking this step. Like, we don't want to create too much of an obstacle. If you make it some big obstacle for yourself, you're not going to do it. We want to do it as quickly as possible, get it out there so it can now compete with all of our other potential projects. Or if it's your only project, so you can start to kind of gauge whether there's any interest in this. And as you make your calls, and this is kind of, so if you put together this lead page, what you can do is, we've talked week after week talking about, if I do this, will you do this? If I put together this website, will you pay us? So as you're making those calls, people are going to go check out the site. Now they can type it in, and it's kind of like they become a lead for you. So you're not wasting effort. We never want to waste effort, right? We don't waste effort. You're not made of time. We have limited time. So, okay. So I'm typing in here. Tracking programs in one place. Super generic, right? We're not talking about here on trackingprograms.com. We are going to pull together fleet tracking, fleet and GPS tracking programs available. I don't know. We can check this later on. I don't want to spend too much time on the copy. We need movingcopy.com to give us some copy here. Get notifications. And then, so that's pretty much it. We've not really changed anything on this page. We use an existing template. And edit click event. It's going to open a pop-up, and then I'm going to edit that pop-up. So I like to gather a name and phone number in addition to an email address. So I have to edit that form. I could just leave it as a basic form. Let me go over to fields. So basically all I'm doing, trying to think of the best way to say this. I'm trying to just run through this, but at the same time, provide some of the things that we've done as well as the why we do it. It's not necessarily that it's the best way to do it. It's just the way that we do it. So whether you include phone number or name, anything like that, completely up to you. We do it this way because we want to be able to call people, we want to be able to email people, and we want to be able to address them by name. So I'm going to save this, but I'm going to come back to it. So I just wanted to get the fields on this form, and it's asking about a guide, so you just have to check your text. Where should we alert you? I don't know. It doesn't have to be special. Add me to the list. So now we have a form, and that's pretty much it. Like that's it. So now we have a page that we can add to trackingprograms.com. And Michael asks, Drew, are we open to plug in one of our domains for a fee? Currently not, Michael. Stay tuned on that a little bit. We're kind of, for now, you can use leadpages.com. You can use their free trial. I kind of recommend the card.co, which I'll show you after this. Hopefully I remember to type that in. But that's like $20 for, I believe you get like 10 sites. Nearly the identical thing, except for it's not through the fancy software. It works the same, if not a little easier, to be quite honest, to use a card. I'm deleting this just because I don't want to bother with it. So now I need to go back to the integration here. So through leadpages.com, you could integrate into, right now it's just going to send me an email. Somebody wanted information. So for us, we are integrated into ActiveCampaign. So we can actually choose to just say, hey, anything from this form, send it over to our waiting list. Now what we would have to do, and it occurred to me, I do not have a waiting list set up for trackingprograms.com. It would show up in this drop down, which it's refreshing right now, so I'm stalling for a second. So it would show up in this drop down here, and there would be a list for example, like right here, it's helicopter rides waiting list. We would have an option for tracking programs waiting list. And it's going to automatically, anybody that fills out the form, send one to that list. And if you're not trying to explain it as you go along, chances are you could probably do this in 5-10 minutes. So I'm going to just save it to the helicopter rides list. Hopefully I remember to come back and do that. And I am going to publish that. And that makes you select your domain, which I'm probably going to have to refresh that list as well. It does not appear to be showing. Lead Guides is letting me, or Lead Pages is letting me down. So in that drop-down list, there should be an option for trackingprograms.com, but because it's not set up yet, it's not showing up. So here's what that page looks like, though. We will be able to add, boom. So trackingprograms.com will end up going to this here. You will be able to fill this out, and it will email me as well as add it to ActiveCampaign. Why is that important, especially if you're doing this for multiple sites? Because it's going to add them to a list and allow you to see what sites are getting what. If you have a site and you do this to, say, a dozen sites, maybe you have 5-6 sites that you really want to develop, you're not sure which one to do it on first, you do it on all of them, and then whichever one over the course of a month or two gets the most waiting lists, you either reach out to those people, have some conversations, see what they think, have that, if I do this, will you do this? If I build out a directory, will your company list on it? You have those conversations, and then you decide whether or not you want to do it. It really is that easy. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a couple next things. What I want to do, though, is over the next few weeks, we're going to do this. We're going to take the next steps. So I've added tracking programs to this, and probably not next week, but over the next couple of weeks, we're going to look at the next step. What would we do next with tracking programs? whether it's writing copy. Maybe we make calls, send a couple basic emails out to people saying, hey, we have trackingprograms.com. Are you interested in doing something with us? Just start to have those conversations. We're going to do it here on the show so you can see what the heck's happening, and you can follow along as well. I'm just for the record, I'm not spending time on trackingprograms.com other than what you see here on the show. Very little, just a little bit of prep. But so far, I've spent about 3 hours on trackingprograms.com, from researching it all the way to now having a lead program. When I'm off air, I'll set up the waiting list so it goes into the right waiting list. But that's going to be it. I'm going to let it sit there while we take the next step and kind of test interest through a couple emails or phone calls. So there you go. So what are some alternatives to what we've done here, which is lead pages and active campaign? I want to show you those because I get it. We do this as a company, so we kind of get to cheat, and we can buy these several $100 programs. So if you're looking to do this on a budget, you can go to card.co. This is one option. Card.co is a very basic one-page type site. You build out exactly what we did, a one-page site with a lead form. It can email you those leads, or you can use another one, which would be Doric, which is on our tools page. And that's one that you can pay you pay a fee and you get a lot of them. You can build out your sites. In most cases, they're going to email you. So they'll email you every lead. Super annoying. What do you do about that? Well, if you're doing it on a shoestring budget, you can use a site called Zapier. Anyhow, you can't see what I'm typing here. Okay. Well, what I showed you was card.co, and now I'm over on Zap. So Zapier.com. And what you can do with this site is 100 times a month, you can have emails come in, you have them sent to Zapier, and you can have it put into, for example, a Google Sheet. I don't know if you can see that down here. So you can parse an email from like Doric or card.co or leadpages.com. You can parse it and have it placed into a Google Sheet. So now you can have a Google Sheet with each of your contacts, and then you can even have each of your waiting lists as a tab in that Google Sheet. Make sense? Hopefully that's kind of, if I was doing this on a shoot, if I was, Drew that was back in college, had no money for, I didn't have all these tools, and I was trying to save every penny I could, I would be using either card.co or doric.com, and I would be probably sending it to a Zap and getting it into a Google Sheet. That's how I do it. It sounds complicated. All of those are made for non-coders. They're made for people that are, drag and drop and showing you what you're doing along the way. And you can get your data into a Google Sheet. So, I don't know. Hopefully that's pretty helpful. And Michael, who's, hopefully that's an option for you to do that as well. So what else would you do as a next step? I want to get I know your brain may be hurting. I want to go a little bit deeper real quick and just tell you that there are a couple things that I would add to this. I would add a little bit of tracking. So especially if you're using lead pages, let me share out my screen again. Over here in the settings, so if you're using lead pages, this would be one option that you would do. Over in the analytics, you have the option to add tracking codes into the page. So the tracking codes that I would typically add would be the Facebook pixel, as well as the Google Analytics pixel as well. And then Active Campaign has a tracking program as well. So as long as you're running it with tracking, some people don't use tracking, which I get it. We always are questioning whether we should include privacy or anyhow. Tracking is helpful because what you can do, you can add you're gonna have to Google. Just go Google, look up YouTube, adding Facebook pixels, stuff like that. Or we can maybe go over that one week. Basically, you drop the code into the page, and then what Facebook does is anybody that looks at that page, they mark them as somebody that you can run an ad to in the future. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to say, when you go to launch this, you can say, hey, run this ad to anyone who's come by the trackingprograms.com domain over the last 30 days. So now you can run an ad like, hey, you've been waiting for trackingprograms.com to launch. We're getting ready. Check us out, or here's more information. Get it? Like, it makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense, but it's an advanced way to capture that traffic and use it in the future. We do some pretty advanced, it's not advanced, but we place our Google Analytics, our Active Campaign, and our Facebook Pixel in Google Tag Manager. If you Google those things on Facebook or on YouTube, my goodness gracious. If you look up Google Tag Manager in YouTube and look up how to add a Facebook Pixel and stuff, you'll be able to find tutorials of creating that code to do it. Ultimately, it's just a matter of whether you're going to add tracking. You would add it to lead pages through those analytics. Tracking is something I recommend you do, but we talked about, don't let it get too complicated. If you're better off just to get the page up there and start to get some leads coming in. And by leads, I mean just interest. How much interest is there on your site? And then the next step is to figure out what the heck Drew was talking about tracking, and get that on there as well. You're getting advanced when you get to that. Don't let the complexity of some future problem get in the way of what you can do now, which is get that page up there to start capture interest. So there you go. Hopefully, yes, Matt's calling me out on, I almost said Google it on Facebook. I'm sure you can do something like that. And Jason's Google Tag Manager is the GTM, and it does rock. Like if you use tracking, it allows you to update all kinds of JavaScript on your page without ever having to go to your actual code. So once you get it set up, we use it on all of our sites. It saves us lots and lots of time. So hopefully that's some good hands-on practical training, and you can do this. So one of the things you can add to those lead pages, let me just mention this real quick. I say that a lot, don't I? You can do this real quick, do that real quick. Everything's real freaking quick. Okay, so if you're going to do there's nothing to stop you from adding onto this page here a line down at the bottom or a line somewhere on this that says, we're going to be developing this page, but we are open to selling it. There's no rule against that. You can still do that. If you're not sure if you want to develop versus sell it, you can still hold on to the opportunity to sell it. One of the things that we do is we always talk about when people are asking us questions or interested in our domains, it's like we buy a domain, we mark it to here. You can buy the domain at this price, frozen, at least on my screen. You can buy that domain name. Hopefully I'm still going, but it's frozen on my screen. But so you can buy the domain name for cheap right away. So by cheap, hopefully it's coming back up. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully we have sound. I'm just, like I said, I might have some tech issues today. So anyhow, okay. So hopefully you're back up. What I was saying is that when you buy that domain name, say you buy something at $100, $200, $500, you can list it for $2,000. If you've not put any time into it, hey, payday. But once you start to develop it, the price of that domain name is going to go up. Like if you spend time on it, you don't sell that domain name at that quick purchase price. So a lot of times we mention to people that are interested, like, hey, we expect to get to this domain name as of May 2021 or something. And as of that point, the domain name price will go up, and it creates it's good for your sales because it's going to create a sense of urgency or a sense of, yeah, I'm not going to mess with it. So hopefully that's a helpful little tip for how that works. I'm going to try to do a 3-minute business plan, but I am guessing that it's not going to work. Let's see if I can switch cameras over to this. Of course not. Okay. Well, okay, so we'll just do a 3-minute business plan with, you're on my laptop right now. So this is just my laptop cam. The 3-minute business plan that I wanted to do is for just phoneadapters.com, which that domain name is let me pull up the data over here real quick. Phoneadapters.com is running, if it pulls up, wow, I'm having all kinds of fun stuff going on. Okay, so that one's currently $12, but that one will go higher once people start to see that in their auctions. Phoneadapters.com over on GoDaddy, and it ends tomorrow. And basically, my thought with phoneadapters.com is sell phone adapters. I have this, if you go to eBay, and there's probably other places you can do this, but you go to eBay and you do a search for bulk phone adapters, bulk, B-U-L-K, meaning to buy in quantity. You can buy like large quantities of phone adapters, like a gross or 140 or something. Anyhow, you can buy them for like super cheap, like $1, $2 each, and you can sell them through phoneadapters.com, or you can go a Shopify store path. Either way, phone adapters are one of the cheapest things that you can buy, and then you can sell them $5, $10 each, or come up with something custom, whatever you want to do. But if you get it for cheap, then why not? So I used to do this thing where I live on a busy street in Cincinnati, and I took, I would actually go to eBay and I would buy phone chargers, and I would pay like $20 for like 100 of these, like a ton of these things. I would buy them for cheap, and then I'd put them out for my garage sale. I'd do this yard sale, and we would sell these, sell them for like $4 each, and they're brand new and in plastic. So, when people come out to your garage sale and they see something in plastic still, they can't pass it up, right? Even though they have a ton of different power cables and stuff, they're like, oh, but it's brand new, it's worth $4. Yeah. Little do they know that you got it for like pennies. So I used to do this with the yard sale. Anyhow, good stuff. I love business. I love yard sales even. So I haven't done one in a while. But so phoneadapters.com. Shopify.com, if you're not familiar with it, is a really cool little tool that allows you to build an e-commerce website. They do it for you, like can take care of payments, calculating shipping, and all kinds of different things. And you could even do drop shipping and sell other people's stuff and never have to do anything else. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Shopify I've not played with other than to learn about a little bit, but I do plan on it someday, launching a phone adapters type site on it just to play, just to learn some new skills. So, there you go. Phoneadapters.com over on GoDaddy, ending tomorrow. So, well, thank you for joining me on Thanksgiving week of From Domain to Profit. Today we looked at turning your domain name into a page that can capture who's interested in being on that site, whether it's a visitor to the site or somebody that possibly wants to list as a paying customer, and walk you through a little bit of lead pages as well as connecting it to other stuff. So hopefully you've got some pretty practical stuff. We also talked about leverage, that idea of why building a domain name out, why putting a business on it allows you to work hard once and gain revenue while you sleep, which is a better way of leveraging your time than just buying a domain name and selling it. So if you have those domains worth developing, certainly get that interest page up there, even if you still look at selling a domain. So hopefully it was good stuff. So thank you so much for joining me. I will be back next Monday. We'll talk a little bit more about tracking programs in the next stop, as well as what it is that maybe your next project is. Take care.